Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Punisher issue number 228. Really high numbers. It's going to leave. That's it. This is the last issue. It's going down to issue number 1 again. And the writer's not even changing. Artist is. Yeah, that's going to be the last negative thing I've really got to say about this comic book. I've got one thing that I might make fun of a little tiny bit. Not really make fun of. Let's get to the comic book, dude. So Iron Man versus Punisher War Machine. Holy crap. Now, when I did my This Week in Comics, I said that the person who should really be beating Punisher for the armor should be Iron Man. I was wrong. I'm going to correct myself because I didn't realize just how much communication. I'm used to, Marvel from for the past couple of years where nobody communicated with anybody for the most part. I mean, that's a very broad stroke to make, but it just seemed like nobody's really communicating with anybody unless there was some kind of a huge event going on, and then they partially talk to each other. But here, over in the Tony Stark Iron Man comic book, Rhodey wound up getting this new machine, and that was just last week, 2 weeks ago. That was last week. He got this new machine, and Matthew Rosenberg very intelligently takes that and says, "Oh, okay, so that's what Rhodey's going to wear when he talks." Well, he kind of beats up our War Machine, and then takes the armor back. Yeah, that was cool. That was very cool, man. Just no surprise. So much violence in this. It's ridiculous. I love the idea that Punisher was able to essentially beat Stark. I mean, that's just perfect. Going up against Zemo and the in and of the Ghost armor, that was great, man. That's just crazy. Seeing these two combined like that, that was absolutely absurd. I think that the Punisher was on the Thunderbolts team when Ghost was there. If that was the red team, then yes. I just can't remember if Ghost was there. Was Ghost and Moonstone on that team? And I remember Red Hulk, Punisher, and Elektra. Those were the main three I remember from that series. One of these days I got to go back and read that again. I was positive that War Machine Punisher was going to wind up killing Zemo. I mean, dude, he definitely breaks his nose, breaks his jaw, breaks his face. And I thought he was going to snap his neck, and just the fact that he was standing afterwards says a lot. But yeah, I don't know, man. I get the idea of restraint and holding back and all that stuff. I get that. I genuinely really do. But sometimes, I mean, who do you care more about? This is the Batman conundrum. Do you care more about not being like them and actually killing one of them, or realizing that all these prisons are just revolving doors? Look, I don't really want more Punisher to be killing all the major characters, even though they could technically come back. They always come back. But I don't know. I just feel like there should actually be a sense of permanency in some way, some regard. Either way, man, I'm so enamored by how good this comic book was. Every single thing about up until the very last page, so much good that happened here. I did mention that I was going to kind of sort of make fun of one thing at one point, so I guess I will go back to it really quick. The way that Punisher is able to beat Zemo Ghost. There's just the typical trope of the very convenient little electrical wire, exposed electrical wire just hanging out. Yeah, because that happens all the time. It was a little bit lazy, but I get it. The only reason why I even bring it up is because if there were one thing that could have made this comic book better, it would be Punisher finding some really cool way to be able to defeat Ghost. He was a Marine. I'm former Army, but one of the things that we always say in the military is adapt and overcome. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got to adapt to your situation. You got to find a way to get past it. You never know what you train as hard as you can for what you know is going to come. It's the stuff that you don't know. That's where it takes some real smarts. And Punisher is just like Frank Castle, man. Go check out my love for Frank Castle and Punisher explained in a minute. This is a guy who he should definitely have that one little trick. That would have been the thing that pushed this comic book over the edge of being absurdly amazing. Is just if he would have had some really cool way of beating him instead of just, oh, well, that's handy. You know, it's not just determination that makes Castle who he is. When you look at like Ellis's run, it's a lot, all of the runs that he had on Punisher, it's a lot more than just determination. So I get it. And this was a really good depiction of the Punisher. Like I said, the one thing that for me would have pushed this over the top was not just, oh, wow, that's convenient. Rather, just some little thing. I don't even know what it could have been. Maybe some fail safeguard. You know what I'm going to miss most about this particular run is Punisher talking to the War Machine armor's AI. That's going to be the thing that I miss the most. Weapon systems back online. I know. Please don't electrocute us again. That's great. That's great. I'm going to miss that the most. But this comic book is going to go back to issue number 1. If they were changing the writer, which I'm glad they're not. I'm glad that Rosenberg is staying on this. If they were changing him, then, you know, it's one thing. But returning to an issue number 1, especially since he's not really doing too much different. Yeah, he's not going to be in the armor anymore, but it looks like Black Widow and Bucky are still going to be involved with him. It looks like they're still going to be referencing all the time that he was in the War Machine armor. So I just don't see a really good logical point to go back to another issue 1. It's just a way to hope that some sales start up again. And that's not the way you do it. Hey, the way you do it, have conversations with people like me, influencers, who are more than happy to talk about how great these comic books are. That is how you get people to jump on the comic books, not by, oh, I'm going to make an issue number 1. And then you got to introduce a new character, you know, to make the number 1 issue worthwhile. Otherwise, it's just a cheap marketing gimmick. Nobody falls for it. Nobody falls for it. Again, Matthew Rosenberg is on writing. I don't know why I'm stuttering so much in this one. Artist, Giwi Villanova. Sorry if I butchered your name, brother. Colorist, Lee Lowridge. Letterer, VC's Corey Petit. Cover artist, Clayton Crane. Fantastic comic book, man. Fantastic. I'm going to miss these high numbers. All right, guys. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.